guilty of massive amounts of misinformation and disinformation as a part of a propaganda campaign.
Attorney General Pam Bondi has directed federal prosecutors to launch a grand jury investigation into members of the Obama administration over the 2016 Russia investigation.
A lot of them are guilty of it.
Yeah,
a lot of the people that are in that White House press conference, a lot of the organizations they work for, distributed absolute lies.
Total lies.
Tulsi Gabbard declassified documents that she says shows Obama administration officials manufactured intelligence to make it look like Russia interfered in the 2016 election.
How many of them during the whole Russiagate thing?
A ton of people think that the Russia thing was real.
Yeah,
Still. I mean, the whole Steele dossier where it was like completely concocted.
Funded by the Clinton campaign.
Correct.
Senator Vance, in Pittsburgh on Thursday, former President Barack Obama admonished black men for being hesitant about voting for Kamala Harris. I was wondering if you could contrast your approach to hesitant voters and how you tried to earn them over.
You know, first of all, I don't believe whether you agree with me or disagree with me, whether you agree with Donald Trump or disagree with him.
No matter how you feel about me or even about Donald Trump, I doubt anyone believes Barack Obama spent 8 years shaping America into the image of a philosopher king. That carefully crafted image didn't last long once Joe Rogan and J.D. Vance started tearing it down. Their sharp humor and blunt remarks stripped away Obama's polished delivery, his dramatic pauses designed for applause, and his talent for sounding profound while saying very little. Vance cuts deep by highlighting the weaknesses in Obama's legacy, while Rogan brings an unfiltered intensity, thriving on calling out hypocrisy wherever he sees it.
Volume and go full screen.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto.
For 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case. They didn't show any curiosity about the case. And now Donald J. Trump is asking his Department of Justice to show full transparency. And somehow that's a criticism of Donald J. Trump.
For years, Obama's political presence was treated like a masterpiece hanging in a gallery. Every gesture seemed deliberate, every word framed as if it carried hidden brilliance, with crowds of admirers applauding the spectacle. But when Joe Rogan stepped into the picture, that lofty image started to crumble. What once looked like fine art suddenly resembled a kitschy velvet painting of dogs around a poker table. Beneath the smooth speeches and polished self-praise, Rogan exposed a figure who leaned heavily on charisma while leaving behind contradictions that no amount of legacy shaping can erase. With his blunt energy, Rogan stripped away the polish instantly.
I'm thirsty. Can I get a glass of water? This is not a prank. And he just takes, goes like this. You never seen it?
No.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Oh,
it's amazing.
no.
It's amazing. He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this, like this. Watch this.
Can I get some water?
With the precision of a surgeon and the blunt honesty of a Midwestern mechanic, Vance adds his voice. While Rogan pokes fun at Obama's stagecraft, Vance turns to the substance, pulling apart policies that look sturdy from afar but collapse under closer inspection. Take foreign policy, for example. Vance likens it to a magician's act. Crowds applaud the showy gestures while ignoring the chaos happening out of sight. A Nobel Peace Prize that lost its shine, the turmoil in Libya, the disaster in Syria, these aren't the marks of lasting leadership. Instead, Obama's resume reads less like the record of a true statesman and more like the unfinished projects of a man eager to claim credit without seeing things through.
I believe in persuading voters. Your support is not something I'm given or something I'm owed. It's something you got to go out there and work for. So one, I just don't like the tone of going in. I mean, look, the better question for Barack Obama or anybody to ask is not why black men. It's not how dare you not vote for Kamala Harris. It's maybe they're thinking about voting for Donald Trump because they're sick of being censored. They're sick.
Rogan zeroes in on the absurdity of Obama's cultural image, the way he's celebrated as a model of modern leadership, while living more like a streaming era celebrity. The man who once promised hope and transformation now signs massive media deals, boards private jets to lecture about climate change, and delivers speeches on responsibility from an estate grander than Versailles. Rogan doesn't need elaborate arguments to make his case. He simply points out the contradiction. In the years after his presidency, Obama stopped being a leader and turned into a brand more focused on selling uplifting slogans than tackling real-world problems.
Give me some water. I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? Did it again. Here's another one. Watch how he did it this time. Watch he gets up to his mouth.
You know, generally I have not been doing stunts here, but, you know.
Oh, really?
But he didn't drink.
J.D. Vance stresses that Obama's policies failed the very people he claimed to champion: the working class, the heartland, those outside the tech hubs and academic bubbles. They were left behind. His speeches, Vance argues, weren't meant for them, but for the elites who applauded themselves for their loyalty while small towns withered, factories shut down, and ordinary Americans were dismissed as nothing more than folks clinging to guns and religion. Vance can't help but grin at the sheer irony of that mindset. It's brutal in its arrogance. And in the end, the man hailed as a unifier ended up widening the divides that future leaders would only make worse.
If you want to criticize the people who aren't showing full transparency, you ought to go after the administrations that went easy on Jeffrey Epstein, the administrations that concealed this case for 20 years, and the administrations that failed to show full transparency. Donald J. Trump, I'm telling you, he's got nothing to hide. His administration has got nothing to hide, and that's why he's been an advocate.
Rogan has a field day with the way Obama is still treated as a fountain of wisdom, even on issues where he embodied pure contradiction. Take corporations, for instance. For years, he fueled division whenever it suited him, all while condemning political polarization. He railed against government overreach, yet expanded surveillance programs so aggressively that even Orwell might have told him to ease up. Rogan likens these contradictions to a fitness fanatic sneaking fast food in the car after lecturing everyone about clean living, a joke that strips away the veneer. From there, Vance tackles the myth of Obama as a master strategist. If Obama were truly the brilliant tactician his admirers claim, he wouldn't resemble a quarterback bragging about personal stats while the scoreboard shows his team losing.
When they gave that speech, when he gave a speech on television, and everybody was like, fuck this. And then they were, it kind of just went away.
It was one of the most beautiful moments in modern American history. People really actually stood up and stopped a war from happening.
Today, I authorize the Armed Forces of the United States to begin a limited military action in Libya in support of an international effort to protect.
Rogan zeroes in on Obama's obsession with image, a fixation that, in hindsight, borders on unhealthy. Magazine covers, carefully staged photos, playlists curated to prove his cool factor. It was a publicity machine polished enough to make Hollywood jealous. To Rogan, Obama is like the kid at the cool table in the cafeteria, not realizing everyone's snickering behind his back. The desperation in it all becomes the punchline, and Rogan treats it as comedic gold, a president so busy promoting his own brand that he mistook it for making history. That's when Vance drives in the final blade. So consumed with looking like the hero of history, Obama seemed blind to his failures, foreign interventions that destabilized regions, healthcare reforms that sent costs soaring, and a domestic record that deepened rather than healed cultural divides. In the name of progress, what he left behind was chaos. Vance doesn't just criticize him, he frames Obama as the archetype of a politician who believes soaring words could substitute for real results. Together, Rogan and Vance bring the roast to a close, turning the myth of Obama into a cautionary tale.
Obama did it, where he repeated that lie about Donald Trump talking about white supremacists, saying they're very fine people on both sides. Let's play it.
Said that there were very fine people on both sides of a white supremacist rally.
You had some very bad people in that group, but you also had people that were very fine people on both sides. And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally. But you had many people in that group other than neo Nazis and white nationalists, okay?
That's crazy. I have never seen that last.
This wasn't an era of unstoppable progress or bold achievements. It was the era of a man who treated the presidency like theater, delivering applause lines instead of solutions, and now clinging to nostalgia like a faded rock star still playing his one hit. Obama wanted his transformation to be etched into history. But thanks to Rogan and Vance, what lingers is an image of a man stripped bare, hollow, overpraised, and desperately clutching the story he wrote about himself. Rogan starts by spotlighting Obama's greatest weakness, his obsession with appearances. For years, he mastered the art of using the fewest words to sound like the smartest person in the room. He'd walk onto a stage, adjust his tie, flash that calculated smile, and deliver a phrase that seemed profound until you tried to unpack it and found nothing there. As Rogan jokes, listening to Obama is like recalling only the rhythm and pauses, not the substance. In his view, Obama cashed in on charisma in 2008 and has been living off the interest ever since. Beneath the polish, Rogan argues, was always a man who could turn every statement into a gleaming column of emptiness.
Is that the 2011 thing where Obama allowed people to use propaganda against United States citizens?
Hillary Clinton is and has been an outstanding public servant.
What was done then under Obama, effective repeal of it, was called the Smith Modernization Act.
She was a great Secretary of State for me.
At the time, the media and media control was seen as the linchpin crux of winning the Cold War, piping in pro-U.S. media influence.
The policy of my administration is to encourage transparency. Why my emails, the BlackBerry that I carry around, all those records are available.
Congress recognized the Frankensteinian monster they were creating by authorizing a covert, permanent Department of Dirty Tricks, and this is their phrase, not mine.
Hillary is instructed those emails that had to do with official business need to be disclosed.
To infiltrate and co-opt the universities, the unions, the media, the politicians, the judges, the whole swarm.
When J.D. Vance takes the mic, he digs into Obama's record, where contradictions pile up like trash in a landfill. He points to the drone campaigns, the foreign policy disasters, and the endless promises of peace that somehow produced more military entanglements. Vance's tone turns sharp, almost surgical, as he dismantles the myth of Obama as a peacemaker. Obama, he argues, perfected the art of condemning war in speeches while quietly approving the budgets to fund it. That's doublethink at its peak, and Vance exposes how Obama dazzled liberals with elegant words while leaving behind a legacy not far from Bush's, just dressed in fancier language. Rogan can't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all, a man who kept posing as the scrappy underdog even after 2 full terms in the White House. To Rogan, it's like watching a heavyweight champion cash $1 million checks for corporate speeches while insisting he's still just the kid from the block.
You look at the policies and the attacks on whistleblowers and drone strikes and all the other shit that happened during that administration, and the coup in Russia, and like there's a lot that's, from a foreign policy perspective, that's very similar to what George Bush was doing. But what they were doing was highlighting social justice issues that came about during his administration, largely obscured the fact that the foreign policies were very similar to what George Bush was doing.
Rogan paints Obama as the guy bragging about a pickup basketball game while the Secret Service guarded the court. It's a perfect metaphor for why the roast hit so hard. Obama's real trick was never policy. It was selling himself as both the man of the people and the Martha's Vineyard mansion owner who somehow stayed relatable. Then Vance steps back in to drive home the larger point. Obama's cultural presence became a substitute for actual governance. While he was busy polishing his image, his party was crumbling beneath him. Democrats lost seats across the country, but he remained packaged as a once-in-a-generation leader. The reality, Vance argues, was a string of defeats that left the party weaker than it had been in decades. He skewers Obama for treating politics like Instagram before Instagram even existed, chasing the perfect photo, the perfect soundbite, the perfect vibe, while the real groundwork of strengthening his party fell apart in the background.
Obama, during this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
I don't understand how we got so toxic, so divided, and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that.
Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did. I did, just as an intelligent person, a statesman. He's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something, and then you get into office, and you're like, oh God, what a...
Rogan digs deeper into Obama's sense of detachment. He ridicules how Obama managed to hover above every crisis as if he were too enlightened to get his hands dirty. Flint's water disaster, endless congressional gridlock, international conflicts, Obama addressed them all with the same cool professorial delivery, like a man sipping wine on a balcony while the world unraveled below. Rogan highlights the absurdity of a president who acted more like a commentator on his own presidency than a leader shaping events. Instead of steering history, Obama narrated it. That distance, Rogan argues, left the nation frustrated. While Obama polished speeches about change, the public kept waiting for the change itself. Vance then sharpens the point. Obama wielded charm as a mask for his disdain because he never engaged behind the curtain and preferred to lecture from the stage. The promise of unity was always just that, a performance.
You know, he was roasting Trump in the audience, and you could see Trump in his head going, oh, okay, I'm going to run now. Like, that might have been the thing that got him to run.
No one is happier, no one is prouder to put this birth certificate matter to rest than the Donald. And that's because he can finally get back to focusing on the issues that matter. Did we fake the moon landing? What really happened in Roswell? And where are Biggie and Tupac?
That one moment where Obama was talking to him might be the reason why Trump was like, I'll show you.
Rogan and Vance, working in tandem, tear apart the image of Obama that has lingered for years. What emerges is not the picture of a bold, transformative leader, but of a polished performer who mistook applause for achievement. They strip away the carefully crafted aura, showing a man who sold atmospheres instead of victories, a politician who mastered the art of appearing profound while sidestepping results. In their telling, Obama's greatest deception was convincing people that charisma could substitute for progress. Rogan zeroes in on the performance aspect. He reminds the audience how Obama perfected the rhythm of speeches, measured pauses, grand phrasing, and a half smile that implied wisdom. Yet, as Rogan quips, these words evaporated on contact, leaving little substance behind. It was style without depth, a TED Talk that never lived up to its promise. Every polished declaration about change and hope now carries the weight of an unfulfilled commitment, like a debt still hanging over the nation. Vance steps in to reinforce the critique, underscoring how Obama's legacy is one of lost opportunities. While he built his reputation through cultural cachet, magazine covers, playlists, and glowing media profiles, his party suffered historic losses across the country. Behind the optics, the groundwork collapsed. Vance argues that Obama acted less like a builder of lasting institutions and more like a storyteller selling dreams. Stories that dissolved the moment decisive action was needed. Together, they drive the final point home. Obama's vulnerability lies in the gulf between the history he wanted written and the reality that unfolded. Rogan exposes how comedy can cut through the facade, while Vance insists that legacies are measured by results, not sound bites or Netflix contracts. The roast leaves no room to hide. Obama's myth is broken, replaced by the image of a man who promised transformation but left disillusionment.